Hey everybody, it is Trags Mike Petralia back with another installment of the Jungle Roar podcast powered by our good friends at Prize Picks and of course CLNS Media. As always, I'm joined by my good friend and colleague at Local 12 and local12.com, the one and only Richard Skinny. Follow his work at local12.com. Does a great job not only during the season but throughout a busy off season of Bengals related news. Follow his stuff again at local12.com. Skinny, I want to talk about Bengal linebackers in this episode and what is going on. First of all, we have to start with the retirement of a former linebacker. And of course, he was traded to the Dallas Cowboys this past season. That would be Logan Wilson. Thought Jeff Butch Hobson had a terrific piece on him on Bengals.com, kind of an ode to Logan Wilson. Two of his biggest plays that Bengal fans will always remember, of course, forcing the fumble in the jungle. And before that, his interception that set up the game-winning field goal in the divisional round in 2021 against the Tennessee Titans. Your thoughts on Logan Wilson stepping aside and retiring at really a reasonably young age?
Yeah, I think the injury started to take a toll on him to the point where, again, I think I've said this on this podcast and other shows, and I don't blame fans or even us for this. I think we take these surgeries for granted, like, oh, it's just part of doing business. I mean, it's a human being getting cut on and having to rehabilitate and then having to maybe do it all over again. And so I've always thought, I think Logan really liked football. I don't know if Logan loved football. I don't mean that in a bad way because he played hard. He was a pro. He did all the right things. But I can't blame guys if they've had enough of going through that process. And quite frankly, I mean, he really lost a step this past season, if not two steps. I mean, it looked completely apparent. I was so shocked when Dallas traded for him and was excited to get him because it took them about 2 games to realize, oh, this guy doesn't have anything left in the tank anymore. We could see that clearly. I mean, you remember me blurting out in the press box in Denver, Logan, take a better angle because he just can't run things down anymore. But it's weird, I remember after the 2022 season, every year we all do our preseason prediction columns, and I always do, part of mine is an offensive breakout player and a defensive breakout player, and players that I think that season will make the Pro Bowl. I thought going into 2023, Logan Wilson was on the verge of being a Pro Bowl level linebacker. That's how good he was. And 3 years later, Mike, he's out of the league. It's just crazy.
Well, what it really indicates, Skinny, is that sometimes your mind is willing, but the body is not.
Right, that's right. That's right.
And that's what happened with Logan Wilson. To your point, I'm going to read Jeff Hobson's opening line of his story. Logan Wilson called it because he didn't love the game as much anymore. That is Jeff Hobson essentially saying what you just said, is that, look, he liked the game, but he didn't love it anymore. And sometimes I think, to your point, Skinny, when players and professional athletes get cut on, we assume that they can jump right back in the physical demands, and there is no sport as demanding as the National Football League. And the speed, the quickness, and the agility that is demanded on them on a weekly basis is certainly the NHL is its own beast, but the National Football League, you either are ready to go mind and body 100% every week, or you just decide, look, it's not worth it. I have a young child at home, might be planning more of a family. I want to spend quality time with them.
And to be quite frank, and again, I applaud him for at least, making the decision that was probably best for everyone. There's also the case of him probably understanding, I'm not even going to land with a team. And if it is, it's just for a training camp. And do I just want to go through a training camp to get cut?
Right.
No, thank you. I'm good.
What stuck out to you about Logan Wilson and the way he handled himself? I mean, he announced his retirement about 100 days from his 30th birthday. So officially he was still 29.
That's right, yeah.
But what about the way he conducted himself impressed you, both in the locker room every time we had a chance to talk with him and on the field?
Yeah, I mean, he was always a consummate pro. I don't think he liked doing interviews per se, but he was always polite. He would always answer your questions. He wouldn't go in complete depth like some guys do. So, what you needed out of Logan had to be something very specific. But no, I thought he treated us with respect, and I treated him with a lot of respect too. I thought he was, in his heyday, and the heyday wasn't very long, he was really, really good. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was physical against the run, was smart, made quick
Right.
reads, made quick decisions, was really good in pass coverage, had really good ball skills from his past as a high school receiver. He was literally, I think, everything you want in a linebacker. He was a pro. You never heard a coach say Logan Wilson was not prepared for this game or that opponent or this situation. So I just think the word that comes to mind for me simply is he was a pro.
Yeah, and I want to touch more on those two games that Jeff Hobson referred to in Bengals.com and just what they meant to this version of the Bengals, because the Bengals don't get to the Super Bowl in 2021 without the play he made against Tennessee, and they don't get back to the AFC Championship the next year without the play he made, the fumble in the jungle that set up Sam Hubbard's 98-yard return. The play in Tennessee is fascinating because it was 3rd and 5. A lot of people were expecting a blitz there, and at the last moment, Logan smartly drops off into coverage and is in the right place, the right time. And that's what the announcers on TV called it. When you're in the right place at the right time, good things tend to come to you. And that, to me, was a perfect way of summing up the way Logan Wilson played football.
Yeah, and that's why those 2 seasons and some of the things he did in those postseasons, I mean, I really thought he was on the cusp of being one of the better linebackers in the NFL, and I think he was. But boy, it just shows you, too, how quickly injuries can rob you of all of that. Because to your point, he still had the mind for the game. I'm sure, that thing I blurted out in Denver was nothing more than making the observation of things that he can't do anymore. Like, he's
Right.
got to take better angles than what he was, because he used to be able to run those plays down. He just couldn't do it anymore. And I know there were some people that questioned the Bengals trading him away, and I know Logan was hurt by it. I think he was hurt. I think he felt betrayed by Zach Taylor, obviously, with him not mentioning him in his farewell post. But I think they made the right decision. I mean, at that point, you were all in on the kids and just you let them sink or swim, and Logan wasn't going to help. And I don't think he would have been a deterrent in that room. But if he wasn't playing, how much help was he really going to give these guys? I mean, there's only so much you can say off of film and scouting and pointing to things. You think you can do more when you're on the field alongside those guys to help. And he just couldn't physically do it anymore. Like I said, I still remember reading the Jerry Jones quotes about how excited they were to get Logan and he's going to help change their. No, he couldn't play anymore.
Right. Let's move on to the here and now. And that means the two rookie linebackers that you just mentioned from last year, Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight Jr. A lot of fans are still wondering, are the Bengals going into this season thinking that those two are going to be the starting linebackers for this defense? The coaching staff, Zach Taylor, insists that they have the potential to be every down linebackers. Al Golden says the same thing. I'm just going to say it. I don't see it yet. I just don't. I think they need a lot more seasoning. I think they could develop into that as this season progresses, but they need something else, whether that is a first-round draft pick to come in and help, or sign a veteran to come in and be that stabilizing force. Look, we talked about it the last couple of weeks about they missed their opportunities with some of the free agent linebackers
Who could make a difference?
Who could make a difference. Some of the linebackers in free agency who could have absolutely, Leo Chenal, for instance, would have been, I think, and he wound up going with the Washington Commanders, but he could have been somebody who could have stepped in. I don't think the Bengals right now have that answer, that complete solution at the linebacker position.
They don't. But again, let's not forget, Al Golden, I think, is going to feel betrayed when all is said and done, because at the Combine, he said he wanted that type of linebacker. He wanted a combo veteran to come in and be able to use Demetrius Knight in certain ways, be able to use Barrett Carter in certain ways. Don't think for a second he didn't want that. And so now whatever veteran you're going to get is going to either have too much mileage on the tires, is still in the market right now for a reason. Some of that might be because of cost. But you're gonna, whatever you wind up getting, you're going to get a Warren Burks level player. You're not going to get somebody who can come in here and compete for a starting spot, in my opinion. And if you do, that's an even more damning situation with Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter.
Well, one of the reasons that Al Golden wanted some help was because he acknowledged, Duke Tobin acknowledged this, even Zach Taylor, I think, would tell you this if you asked him. Demetrius Knight Jr. was not the guy you wanted creeping in and coming down onto the line of scrimmage as that fifth guy on the line of scrimmage to provide a pass rush or to drop in coverage. That's not playing to his strength.
Yeah, so I wonder this, Mike. I wonder if you start to see more Boye Mafe as a fifth lineman, if you will. That
Maybe.
Because he's played some. I mean, they list him as a linebacker, edge, whatever you want to call him. It's all the same. I mean, we've seen, and maybe he's got just enough versatility to occasionally drop into coverage to maybe throw a monkey wrench into what quarterbacks are seeing. Maybe that's what they're going to have to do by default. That your linebacker signing, for lack of a better term, was also your edge rusher signing in Boye Mafe. That he's going to be on the line of scrimmage, but he's going to be on the line of scrimmage when Miles Murphy's on an end, when Shamar Stewart's on an end, and whatever two tackles you have. So he's the fifth lineman by default, but he plays kind of a linebacker role. That's the only thing I can make sense out of all this, because I think I talked about this last week. The disconnect for me between what Al Golden thought he was going to get, what they were talking about wanting to do, and then not doing it, and then structuring contracts to the point where now you really don't have the resources to do anything more than probably add a third-rate linebacker and a third-rate corner and maybe get Joe Flacco back, and then you're probably done. You're going to be out of money. I mean, right now they're at $21 million from over the cap after Josh Johnson's contracts hit the books. But again, you got to deduct for all the things the Bengals deduct for, so you're probably down to having $8 or $9 million left, and that's not going to get you a quality player.
Okay, which leads us to the next conversation that the Bengals rightfully deserve criticism for, and that is why they haven't, at this point at least, restructured Joe Burrow's contract and why they haven't done other things. I mean, we talked last week on this podcast about the $7 million that they got in the insurance settlement, if you want to call it that, from the NFL.
What a godsend that was.
Well, I mean, that's it. They waited on a gift from the National Football League, and that's their only proactive measure in terms of restructuring their cap. This is, again, why a lot of fans tune out the Bengals, because they figure it's the same old Bengals. They're not going to be aggressive like other teams trying to win championships, restructure their cap, and go back at free agency with much more cash. They should have been thinking about this, doing this weeks or if not months ago.
Well, remember last week we talked about the way the contract structures are for Brian Cook and for Boye Mafe with so much money front loaded. I think it goes back to they don't want to give second-year guaranteed money. So if these guys are going to sign here, the agent's saying, well, if you're not going to give me second-year guarantees, I need more money up front. And that's the only way the Bengals can get these guys to sign. And again, that's just stupid business. That is just utterly nonsensical business, in my opinion.
Well,
I think it's good business. It's not good business to win football games.
No, it's not good football business. And that's what more and more savvy fans who follow all of this stuff, follow us, follow the Ben Babies and the James Rapines and the Kelsey Conways. They are all, listing it out and spelling it out is what I'm trying to say. They're all spelling it out about why these numbers matter. They're just not, alphabet soup numbers. They're not just numbers thrown into a machine and whatever spits out. No, there's specific reasons why the Bengals don't want to pay down the road. They rather pay out the cash now and not be on the hook later. And Katie Blackburn, and I know Ben Baby put this on social media yesterday, but it's a quote from last year, not this year, about Katie Blackburn doesn't believe in or the Bengals, through Katie Blackburn, don't believe in paying out money down the road. They believe in paying the roster that is the roster now. And I'm like, okay, you don't understand the current NFL then.
That's correct.
Or you understand it fine. You're not happy with the financial structure of the NFL, and you're not choosing to play that game, which is more likely the case.
No, they are hell-bent, dead set on doing it their way, come hell or high water, because they think it's the right way, and they want to one day go, see, we did it our way. We were always right. No, you weren't, and you've spent now going on 6 decades of getting it wrong primarily. So how about changing your ways?
And we can huff and puff and blow that wall down here on this podcast. and other people can do the same on other podcasts. It's not going to change the way
No,
they
it's
do
not.
business.
And Mike,
And
isn't it interesting that this is so crazy to me if you think about it? They've been to the Super Bowl 3 times. 81, they went to the Super Bowl. 82, they went back to the playoffs in a strike-short year, and then they fell off a cliff and had losing records
Yep.
for a chunk, and then we're kind of hung around on 500 until Sam Weiss got into the Super Bowl in 1988, and that's pretty quick turnaround, 7 years. That's not bad. And then after that, playoff year or two, and then the utter disaster decade of the 90s. It's almost like they build to the Super Bowl team and go, yep, see, we know what we're doing, and then nothing, crickets after that for years.
Well, and they don't believe in investing in the product. They'll say, we don't believe in investing in the product. What do you call Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and
Right.
T. Higgins? That's only part of the equation. It's not the whole financial picture. And that's what I think they totally miss. They're like, well, we're clearly investing. Well, yeah, you're investing up front in some of the key star players that you have to sign. You're not doing the extra work that involves or that is part of building a championship level driven franchise.
Remember last year when the conversation was we're okay at safety and everybody that covered the team and fans alike screamed, no,
You're
you're
better.
not. Got to
Right.
get better. And yet one of the downfalls of the defense last year was the safety position. I just hope we're not in this position next year at this time going, or maybe even during the season going, man, if they had only addressed linebacker in the offseason. I hope to heck those two kids are great kids. I like them both. I hope they have great long careers.
They're
and I
just
hope
not ready, Skinny. It doesn't
Correct.
mean they're bad
Correct.
players or
No,
bad
correct.
people. We're not saying that.
But
It's-
even if they are, Mike, all you're doing right now is rolling the dice that they will be. You have no fallback plan if one or the other isn't. That's the problem.
and there's no message being sent to the players in the locker room now that, hey, we're taking very aggressive action to put action behind the words we left you with at the end of a 6-11 season, that we will do everything we can, i.e. Joe Burrow. We will do everything we can to make this team better. He is Richard Skinny of Local 12 and Local12.com. The playoff push is heating up and tournament hoops are indeed here. And there's no better way to cash in if you're right on the high-flying hoops action than Prize Picks, where it always feels good, Skinny, to be right. Every bucket, every assist, every win means more when you're playing on Prize Picks. And with their brand new Team Picks markets, you can now pick game winners, spreads, and totals on top of the player picks you already know. So cash in if you're right during all of the clutch buckets, slam dunks, and Cinderellas this spring with Team Picks on Prize Picks. Pick the winner straight up on Prize Picks. Who is going to win the next big basketball game? Who is going to win the fight? Back your takes with real money on Prize Picks. I can even pick who is going to cut down the nets in a couple of weeks or who is going to win a ring this summer. Download the Prize Picks app today and pick your first game winner, spread, or total as the playoff push rolls on, and get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup when you use the code CLNS. That's code CLNS to get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, back with Richard Skinny of Local 12 and Local12.com. I'm wondering, and we were kind of talking about this before the break. The Bengals are in a wait and see mode. What exactly, Skinny, are they waiting on?
Waiting for the market to go down for whatever players are going to get to fill out the roster. Because, like I said, you still need to sign a veteran linebacker. You still need to sign another corner to compete with Jalen Davis for the slot spot. In my opinion, it wouldn't hurt to go sign another safety for depth's sake. I don't think they're going to be in the market anymore for a backup swing tackle. I guess they've probably settled their mind on what they're going to do with that position. And you're still waiting on Joe Flacco. And you got to do all that under the guise of having about $8 to $10 million to spend. If you're spreading it out among 3 players, you're not exactly getting quality there, are you? You're just getting bodies.
So are we giving up on Joe Flacco, or what are we doing with Joe Flacco?
No, I think Joe Flacco does come back here. I honestly do. I mean, you're not going to go in with just Josh Johnson. And I think for Joe Flacco, he knows if there's no starting spots available, and what's left? I guess what the Raiders want to do with Mendoza, if they want to throw him in from day one, or if they want to have a bridge guy, that seems to be the only possible landing spot for him at this point to to go be a starter. And I think if he's not going to be a starter, what a better situation than you have here in Cincinnati, for goodness sakes.
What about Kirk Cousins?
Nah.
Well, here's what I'm saying. If
I think Kirk Cousins costs too much.
Well, and Kirk Cousins, I've also heard floated as a possibility for the Raiders,
right?
To let Mendoza bridge in, or ease his way into that job, and that's another subject altogether. Tom Brady and the Raiders, and what they choose to do at the quarterback position fascinates me.
It does. No question about it. I think Mendoza is really good. I don't know what kind of NFL quarterback he's going to be. I mean, what he did at Indiana was just terrific, right? I mean, and he was a big part of that. They had really good players because they did a great job in NIL, but he was really good. I don't know how many years he's the number one overall pick. I mean, I think he benefits greatly from this quarterback class being pretty trashy, to be quite frank.
Right. I would agree with that 100%. Any other positions that you think that maybe with the Bengals that you think,
you added
sneaky
your
way? Go ahead.
You added your edge, you added your tackle. You need depth at some other positions, especially the other three spots: corner, linebacker, safety.
Yeah, and I just think that with the Bengals and them trying to buy on the cheap in free agency, it's going to come back and burn them.
Sure.
And injuries are going to happen. And if they go down with injuries, I frankly think, Skinny, they're back in the same place that they were last year. They're no better. They haven't added enough depth at this point. Maybe they'll do so with the draft, and maybe they come out looking a lot better. But I don't know. I think we learned last year that the draft is a very, very risky way to try and plug in holes when you have so many holes like the Bengals have.
Not if you're good at drafting.
Well,
therein lies the problem.
Even the teams that are good in drafting, if they're championship-driven teams, they're much more aggressive than the Bengals have been in free agency. My point is, you don't just go out and draft 3 or 4 players and plug them in and expect them to contribute right away. If we learned anything from the 2025 Bengals, it's that strategy ain't going to work.
No, you're right. I mean, your first, 4 picks all were plugged in to start. Shamar Stewart, when he wasn't hurt, was starting and wasn't very productive. In fact, PFF's worst graded defensive end in the NFL last year. 2 rookie linebackers, did get better. I will give you that. They got incrementally better, but not good enough to weren't that great. And Dylan Fairchild was good, not great. And I'm okay with good. I just don't need to notice you, and he was okay. But boy, that is a risky proposition to plug 4 guys in as starters and expect them to be major contributors right away. That can happen at wide receiver. I mean, that feels like a position that Joe Burrow's kind of an outlier, and even he had his struggles as a rookie quarterback, right? I mean, before he got hurt. So it is. Plugging rookies in no matter what spot is really, really hard.
Here's a sneaky kind of position that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. That's wide receiver for the Bengals. And I'm just curious to see how they address the depth in that room, because after Andre Yosavash, and, they do have Mitch Tinsley, they do have Keyshawn Williams. Keyshawn Williams is really going to be a returner, right? I think that's going to be his role. How do they view... I don't buy him as a receiver, Skinny.
I don't either, but I'm just throwing his name in there because he's still in the mix. But yeah, no,
he is.
I go back. I think they lean into more 2 tight end stuff this year again. I think they even go deeper into more 2 tight end stuff.
What about the running back?
I'm fine at the position. Chase Brown's terrific. I think the more you saw him as the year went on, the more the offensive line got better. And
I'm talking about Samaje, really.
He's fine. I think he does his role just fine. I think he's a pro's pro. Yeah, I know some people are getting giddy about Jeremiah Love maybe sliding to 10 and how hard it would be not to take him. You're not taking him. You're just not, and he's not going to get.
Well, if he's there, if he's the best player on the board, Skinny.
Yeah, but I don't need him. I need other things. I need the other things. I don't need him. I like him a lot. If you had done things to address the other needs, then I'd say,
Here's
intriguing.
the problem. Here's the problem with that strategy. If you need other things and you are drafting to need at that
I
high
agree
of a
with you.
position, you are bound to make a mistake. You are
I don't.
asking.
I'm with you. He's too much of a luxury piece, and besides, there's going to be enough players around that on that board that you're not taking a
Yeah.
precipitous fall. I mean, you're just not when you're picking that
David
high.
Bailey pops out to me as somebody who could be very intriguing to them, who probably will be available, who could give you the type of pass rush I think you're looking for. No?
Yeah, no, I mean, between him, Downs, potentially Styles, although I'm not thrilled with taking a rookie linebacker. He's just so intriguing that it'd be hard not to go that. Mansour Delane, the cornerback from LSU. Those there's going to be somebody on that board at that spot that's going to help your football team now, and you're not taking some kind of big risk of going, hey, we need this, and he's our 28th rated player. No, you're going to have those guys in some grouping close together.
On your draft prospectus and your draft work that leading up to the third week and in April, what are you doing on local12.com to kind of take a look, just to give listeners and viewers an idea of what you'll be working on?
So I'll probably at the end of this week I'll do a mock draft, and then I'm taking a week off actually, and then a couple weeks leading up to it I do kind of a position by position breakdown of where the Bengals are, who are some of the players out there, what round they may take. Like if you do quarterback, you'd say probably won't take one at all if so late on day 3, and then go find some day 3 guys that would be intriguing. So I do that for each position kind of daily, then a final mock draft the day before the draft leading up to it.
All right. Any other plans that you have coming up that you'd like to share with the audience?
No, opening day's right around the corner for all of us, which is a cool thing. By the way, I don't want to get away from this podcast without bringing this up. I thought Joe Burrow playing in that flag football game was the damn dumbest thing I've ever watched in my life.
Okay. I cannot believe I waited this long to get to that. I watched that and I'm like, this is a $275 million quarterback out on the field, come with an ACL passed and with a turf toe passed and with all of the injuries that he has.
And he got tackled. Did you see the one when he caught the pass?
I did not see the tackle.
Oh, my gosh. If I'm a Bengals fan, my heart would have stopped right then and there and gone, what are doing, man?
Okay, here's a fair question. What is Joe Burrow doing?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know people go, well, it was a fun thing. No, you don't know. Because of what's been invested in you and because of your injury history, you don't play in that game. I'm sorry. You just don't.
No, you don't. And you're almost saying that, well, if I get injured, hey, I'm living my life. Well, then you shouldn't have signed a $275 million contract to let everybody know that the Bengals and the NFL and winning a Super Bowl is what your priority is as a professional athlete.
Honestly, just asinine. Asinine and selfish. I'll be honest with you. I think it's selfish.
I just don't understand. And I'm curious, given the legal acumen of the Bengal ownership, they have got to have had some type of they must have had some type of conversation with Joe Burrow since that happened.
Yeah, like we'll take out an insurance policy and you're paying the premium on it, my man.
Well, I mean, I'm shocked that wouldn't have been a violation of the contract.
It just seemed way too risky for whatever fun there was. And besides, NFL players got their ass kicked by a bunch of flag football superstars. Good for you. Just stupid. Just stupid.
It is more about priority, Skinny, that I don't understand. Like, it isn't winning and keeping yourself healthy and not exposing yourself to undue risk a priority in your offseason.
You would think so.
Now, and I get it. You could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I understand that. But that's not what this is.
That's dumb. That's dumb luck, Mike. This isn't dumb luck. This is you putting yourself in a situation to potentially get injured.
Correct. This is exposing yourself to something you don't need to be exposed to.
Correct.
I'm fascinated to see if a story leaks about the Bengals being upset with that. That is a story I would love to hear, and I'd love to see. And we are going to ask Joe Burrow about this the next time we see him in the offseason. It's a legitimate question.
Sure.
What are you doing going out on that field, getting tackled. He's going to laugh it off like you just said.
Yep.
It's no big deal. I don't think it's a joke. And I don't think it's a joke to a fan base that is hoping and praying for just one bite at the Super Bowl apple. I don't know.
Well said.
That's all I've got on this episode of the Jungle Roar podcast. Anything else on your mind?
I'm good, Mikey. All good.
All right. He is Richard Skinner of Local 12 and local12.com. Be sure to follow all of his draft preview analysis and his mock draft, as he just promoted a couple of minutes ago. Be sure to follow that on local12.com. Be sure to follow my stuff. That's all on CLNS Cincy with a Y.com. And of course, my Bengals related content on the X at Trags, TRAGS. For our great loyal sponsor, Prize Picks, and our great people at CLNS Media, my name is Mike Petralia. And until next time, keep that jungle roaring.